Hello and welcome to Time Between Times Storytelling. Thank you ever so much for joining us once again here at the Time Between Times. The time where stories are told. The place where stories are told. Here we are once again. And I must thank you before we begin to all the people who join me here week after week listening to these tales. It humbles me greatly to know that people all over the world are listening. And this little place, this little part of Wales, our tales are going to a brand new audience every week. Diolch, thank you. No matter what is going on in the world at the moment, we can sit back, we can relax, and we can lose ourselves in stories for just a few moments. So, sit back, relax, and join me for a tale at the time between times. The time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. The time when the veil between our world and the fairy world grows wafer, wafer thin. So thin that for just a few moments you can reach with your hand into their realm, and for a few moments they can reach into our world. This is the time that people see ghosts. This is the time that people see lights in the sky. This is the time of stories. This is the time when we sit back in the forest around the fireplace and listen carefully, and we can hear the howl of wolves, we can hear the growl of bears, but we know we are safe right here, right now, for a tale traditionally told. So join me this week as I tell you the ancient tale of the Golden Harp. Morgan Pris and his wife Anna lived on the slopes of Cadair Idris in North Wales, a mountain so high that its peak is often obscured by the clouds and covered in snow. Their farm, nestled in on the hillside, was the envy of many, and their life was one of happiness and joy. They loved nothing more than singing, and Anna was known as one of the greatest singers in all of Wales. When she opened her voice, her song sounded like a lark's tune. People for miles around would listen to her sing. And although Morgan could not sing nor could not play, they were massively in love. Evan Jones was their neighbour. He was a good singer as well. Not like Anna, of course, but he would mock Morgan by singing along with Anna when she sang. And he would say, "How is it you can be happy when one of you is like a lark and one of you sings like a pig?" And Morgan would get more and more annoyed at this. But he never let it get to him until one day, Anna had set off as the dawn broke at the time between times and made her way down the winding path to the village not far away. There she would trade and bring back bread and eggs ready for the next week, and Morgan was left alone at the farm. He was just about to go out and tend to the sheep when he heard a knock at the door. This is strange, he thought. At this time, so early in the morning, that someone should call at the farm. He opened the door and looked for a moment and saw that no one was there, until he looked down, and there in the doorway were three small figures, covered in leaves and flowers, and he knew that he was looking at three of the Tylwyth Teg, the fairy folk. His heart beat so fast in his chest that he felt it would burst. But then one of them looked up at him and said, "Our journey has been long. May we take refreshments with you?" Everything in his mind made him want to slam the door in their face, but he knew this was the worst thing he could possibly do, so he opened the door and bade the Tylwyth Teg enter his home. "Anna has left some bread, and Before he could offer them what he had, he turned around and saw that the three men were rummaging through the cupboards, pulling out the eggs, the bread, the meat that he had, and they sat on the table and started to sing a little song whilst they fed themselves. Confused, Morgan just sat there, boiled a pot of tea, gave them each a drink, and sat until all three of them had had their fill. The one who had spoken lifted his head and said to Morgan, "We are grateful for your hospitality. Many are the people who spurn us on a day-to-day basis. What is it you wish more than anything in your life? I wish I could play music. Play music that was half as sweet as the song that my wife can sing. Whenever she sings and the people are drawn to her, I feel nothing but loneliness. Then it shall be so, said the fairy, and they vanished in front of Morgan. He turned around, and to his amazement, on the chair by the fireplace was a golden harp, the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. He looked under the table, he looked under the stairs, he opened the doorway, but the fairies had gone. And summoning enough courage, he sat down and ran his finger over the harp. He had never played the instrument in all his life, but he played it, and the song was gorgeous. It ran out through the valley, and no matter what he did, he played it as well as anyone who had ever played the harp had ever played anything in all their lives. At the end of the day, at the time between times, the time when it was neither night nor day, but the sun had gone and the sky is grey, Anna returned, bearing goods from the marketplace. And as she came into the house singing her song, her husband started to play the golden harp. Immediately he saw her face light up, and she started to dance and sing and move with the music that he played. This was like nothing they had ever done before. This made her song even more beautiful. This echoed through the valleys. And he played, and he played, and he played. And after a while she said, "Please stop." But still he played, until he realized that she could not stop singing or dancing until he stopped playing the harp. So stop he did. Over the next weeks and the next months, they would play in the farmyard, and people from the village would join them. And as the night would grow old, Morgan would play on the golden harp, and Anna would sing throughout the mountains. And people would gather in their hundreds to dance along. But whenever Morgan saw that they were getting tired, he would stop the song and leave them with just enough joy in their heart until they meet again. Time had passed, and Anna had once again gone to the marketplace, when again there was a knock at the door. Morgan opened the door, and there was Evan, the neighbour, who had brought much mischief into their lives. "What do you want?" said Morgan. "I am amazed of the music you have made," said Evan. "I am amazed that the songs that you can now sing with your wife and that instrument. Show me how you play it, for it seems there is more to it than I wish there to be." Morgan started to play the harp, and Evan started to dance. After a few moments, Morgan could tell that Evan wanted to stop. But now was his chance for vengeance, for every snide word, for every bad look that had been done over the years. And he carried on playing and playing and playing until the day grew old, and Evan danced and pranced and swept all over the floor, sweating and puffing, until in the end, Morgan only stopped playing when he fell down to the ground, exhausted. Morgan stepped over his enemy, looked at him and laughed. "You will never mock my music again," he said to the exhausted man, who crawled out of the doorway back to his own farm, his tail well between his legs. Morgan turned around to pick up the harp, but the harp was gone. Morgan looked under the table, looked under the stairs, looked outside the door. There was no sign of the harp. And then from nowhere there came a voice that he recognised as belonging to one of the Tylwyth Teg. "Fairy magic is not to be used for spite," said the voice. "You will never see the harp again." And so it was. Anna returned. Morgan could never play the harp again or create music like he had done for those months. But he knew. He knew never to spite people who tried to spite him. He knew that only good was to come of fairy magic. And although he could never play that beautiful music anymore, he lived a long life with his wife, never again jealous of her skills, never again jealous of the song that she could sing, but knowing that for just a fleeting moment, he'd had a taste of what it was like to have all his dreams. But the fairies had taken it away in their capricious way. And the golden harp was never seen near Cader Idris ever again. And that, my friends, is the story of the golden harp. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the tale. I hope you've enjoyed joining me again at the time between times. Please take care of yourselves. Please sit back and relax whenever you can. And please join me once again for Tales at the Time Between Times. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much.